Cancel. Okay.
Welcome to the Lean Mobile Apps Podcast, where we ditch the hype and expose real-life stories that built today's successful startups. From actionable strategies to massive failures to pure kick-ass startup tech, get it all here on the Lean Mobile Apps Podcast. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Monty and Andrea.
Well, Monty will be here soon, but today we have our weekly CyberSec talk with our featured guest and expert, Laszlo Levente. And
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us, Laszlo. We always love your information, your news, and your expertise. So I guess we'll just get started.
Thank you for inviting me. I have many news for today and for this week. So let's jump into it real quick. First one is a pretty light one. You are only infected if you allowed Skype to do this. There was a Skype vulnerability that gave some apps and some viruses access to your computer and camera and everything to spy on you, but you needed to click a specific button where Skype actually asked you if you should allow or not this application. So it's just normal like social engineering app.
So let's read a quick headline. The internet is abuzz with news about backdoor Trojan that is equipped with such advanced features that it can steal files, capture screenshots, and record Skype conversations.
Yeah, but it's only if you allowed it.
Okay.
And
So
it's not enough to just download. Yeah.
okay. Cool. Don't use Skype or?
Sometimes, yes. I don't like to use it, but sometimes I need to use it to like connect with people who I can't connect on other platforms.
That's true. I mean, we do use it sometimes as sort of a backup network. So how do they spot the Trojan?
Well, probably, I don't know, install a antivirus software and like be happy.
Okay, so it gets itself.
And when something asks if Skype needs permission for something, then just don't give it to it because it's not worth it. If you know that 100% that app is what you want and what you downloaded and it's something you trust and your life, then okay, you can allow it, but otherwise it's just not worth it.
Okay, so it says, so this looks like it's for PC, right? Explorer.exe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So just be careful what you allow access.
Yeah, actually on a PC you really need killer antivirus anyways, because even like pop-ups from news sites can contain problems. Like we will talk about it in a bit, that TMZ was spawned this week. TMZ site basically infected everyone who was there with a malware, an adware, because someone hacked into it. So yeah, this is this week's large, hack.
Big thing, TMZ. Wow. Okay, next news.
If you have Netgear router, which is mostly in enterprise space, so if you are just a random person chilling around on Blab, maybe you shouldn't have a Netgear router anyway, because you can't use its full potential. But if you have a Netgear router because you have a kick-ass enterprise company, then update your firmware, because basically Netgear didn't give out any patches yet, but there are unofficial ones that you can install and be safe.
Okay. So Carnegie Mellon University's third analyst Joel Land says there's no known fix and recommend users block untrusted sources via firewall rules.
Yes, but there are unofficial fixes on the forums popping up.
Okay. Oh.
And it's like from Monday, so maybe NetGrid already gave out an update. I'm not sure about that.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is a pretty huge one. Alibaba was hacked, which is
Alibaba?
yeah, so 20 million user accounts are in risk right now. And if you have an Alibaba or like Taobao, which is the parent company of Alibaba, AliExpress, and bunch of other stuff, if you happen to have an account there and you use the same password there than on any other site, you should be updating it right now.
Okay. So, okay. Update your login credentials. So, the reuse of login credentials on Taobao exposed more than 20 million accounts on Alibaba's website to attacks.
Yes.
So, update your passwords.
And actually, around 100 million usernames were obtained by the attack. And I actually saw this. I mean, I was just randomly surfing around on the dark web because I was testing. I will link it in a sec.
Are you surfing the dark web?
No, this is a tool with which you can access the darknet from the normal net. You shouldn't search for drugs or anything illegal because you will get immediately arrested. But like you have the option to search for innocent things and to like look up forums. And when I just searched for a random hacking forum, because that was the first one that I was actually searching on it, then I found a forum and something like 0 Day, or I don't remember the name perfectly, and there were a bunch of dumps about Alibaba accounts, and this is where I was freaked out because what is this? This is either fake or either a huge problem, because when you see like 20 million password and username accounts in a file, that usually doesn't seem right. I mean, yeah, so I needed to check the news, and like 2 or 3 hours later, major news sites brought it down that Alibaba was hacked and usernames and passwords were dumped online.
Wow.
So yeah.
Interesting. And
Okay,
for everyone
so-
who, how about this? For everyone who doesn't know what the dark web is and why we should pay attention to it, kind of explain.
The dark web is basically around 80% of the internet, but you can just access it, and it's extremely dangerous because right now you are browsing sites, and the worst thing you can find on the clear net, which is how it is called, on the dark net actually. So the worst thing you can find is like I don't know, malwares, viruses. That's the worst. Well, on the darknet you are completely anonymous. I mean, if you do it right, you can be totally anonymous, but if you are doing it right, then you are like somewhere close to being total anonym. And this way you can trade guns, trade drugs, and it's very bad. So if you are just a normal person who is not like researching or I don't know, checking news on forums, because obviously here are all the information is exchanged first, then you shouldn't be up there. But in case you want to research and like a bit taste it and see what's there. It's actually legal to access things. You just can't interact with things in a way that you do on the ClearNet. And so with this link, you can even search for drugs. And this is the worst case scenario, and I don't want you to search for drugs, obviously. You will find some pretty bad sites that will, either give you a very bad virus, or the other case is trade some cocaine with you, or at least try to. So, yeah, this is the darknet in a nutshell. And if you didn't know already what it was, you probably shouldn't visit it. It's not something very good to be at and, just chill around on the darknet.
So just, I think just watch Dope on Netflix. It's now available on Netflix. There's a part in there that talks just a little bit about the dark web.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't play around. Hey, Monty, thanks for joining us again. We'll miss seeing you around. And Net Management says, don't play around.
Yeah.
Okay, next
news is the most serious hack this week. TMZ was hacked, just again for those who weren't here when I talked about it, and thousands of people were infected by a malicious ad, which was extremely cheap for the attacker to get to the site, and could infect computers. So, and it was an adware, and it's pretty bad because its certificate is totally screwed up and everything is screwed up about it. So hopefully you weren't online when this happened. It was up for 2 or 3 hours.
So it says the Malwarebytes came from ad platforms, Context Web, and Smarty Ads, using Cloudflare to hide infrastructure. 19 cents for 1,000 impressions.
Yes.
Wow. So cyber attacks are very cheap.
Ads on these sites aren't, because of the large amount of views they get, they won't be up for many hours or even a day or two. Cyber hackers or cyber criminals just can't pay that much to keep it up, and actually they will pull it down. So the 2-3 hours, I think that was costing them around $100 or so, and they infected around 10,000 or 30,000 people, if I tip right.
Can you use Bitcoin on Context Web to pay for? So my assumption would be that if they do accept Bitcoin.
Nope.
No, they don't. Okay.
It's TMZ. They are
talking about the ad platform.
Oh.
If hackers can develop viruses to do such a thing, that they likely have access to a substantial or a legitimate amount of Bitcoin. So let's see.
Well, Bitcoins are mostly closed out from ClearNet businesses because people trade guns and drugs with that thing. So it isn't perfect for its portfolio that after maybe you traded, because all of the coins are going around in the community, and after maybe with a coin XYZ you traded I don't know, cocaine, and then the next time you buy some ads, it just you don't know if that happens, but it just does not feel good and does not feel something you should be into. So this is why many sites won't adapt Bitcoin, and I think they are doing it right, because in the ClearNet, user identity and bank cards when they are buying something, and exactly when they can infect people with it, it should be somehow de-anonymized. The problem is when those sites that gather information are getting hacked.
But see, I mean, I hear Net Management also says the same thing. PayPal, and Monty's going to come on. Actually, Monty, can we just reserve we'll let Lazo get through his news and then you can come on, or unless you want to talk about Bitcoin really quick. If you want to talk about Bitcoin and this TMZ hack, come on.
Oh, hey Monty.
Okay, so Monty with Spy Gadget Rentals wants to talk really quick about TMZ hacking Bitcoin. So we'll just let him drop in for a few minutes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand the gist of what you guys are referring to. Because according to my understanding, Silk Road 1, 2, and 3, and who's now I can't even keep count of how many of them there are. Isn't right? Yeah, I mean, isn't the main way that you fund transactions, isn't that still Bitcoin, or did they switch over from Bitcoin and nobody told me about it? How does that
Bitcoin
work?
is on the darknet. Basically, there are like thousands of types of coins with with other values and other use cases. Some are used. I saw coins that were, all Bitcoins can store information. Well, some other coins were exactly found out to contain malware information, and when you trade it, you actually trade a piece of malware. So, and if you buy a full coin of that, I don't remember the name, you buy a full malware. So people are using it to trade malware pieces, and then you can buy malware by this type of thing, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, Bitcoin is still the main gag on the cyber criminals, between cyber criminals and dark web.
I think it's becoming more legitimate because we have, like Net Manager was saying, on PayPal, a way to exchange your currency, and then have web platforms, e-commerce platforms like Fiverr, who will pay you in Bitcoin. So I think, I think if it's operating fully on the web, even if it is sort of a clear net commerce site, I think it's trying to transition into a more legitimate form of currency.
Yeah, it tries, but after this, I don't think it can. And Bitcoin has crashed like 3 times already, or 4 times.
You're not predicting the demise of Bitcoin again, are you?
Yeah.
No.
It seems like for the last 5 years, I keep hearing that Bitcoin is, yeah, right. And I still have my investments. I still have it integrated to my shopping cart. How when do we say this is the final death strike against Bitcoin? I mean, how many times do we say that to people before we say, maybe this is not going to happen? Maybe it's not going to die and crash and burn.
So my presumption is that, the internet is creating this whole new society, right? And with that comes a sort of global currency. And to say that it will crash is a fallacy. But
right, exactly.
A more stringent or, way to sort of make it feel safe for the mass public, probably.
Well, the problem with all types of currencies, this is not specifically to Bitcoin, but Bitcoin simulates a faster way of all currencies. So it's a kind of little simulation, and actually investors are learning a lot from it. Mathematically, these any type of like dollar, euro, any type of currency can't keep up. They will crash. They mathematically need to crash, and Bitcoin is doing it right now. It's simulating these just in a very, very fast way. And actually, many people don't know what's coming after. So maybe Bitcoin can answer this question: what if it totally crashes, and how will people act who have Bitcoin and any kind of problems? It will open many doors.
So I would say just like any other currency, it's sort of cryptocurrency conversation by itself. Bitcoin is not as Security, it's a blockchain cryptocurrency conversation by itself. Yes.
Exactly. And also, isn't it true that stocks crash, real estate markets
Yeah.
crash?
So there's
Uh,
fiscal
I
policy.
mean, the idea that something crashes, does that mean that it's not a viable investment? Because I'm, through my life, and I'm 50 years old minimum, I've seen pretty much everything crash. But I don't know if I've seen the end of the world because things crash. I think the correct term might be a correction, and that way people probably understand a little bit more in terms of that. Valuations sometimes get ahead of themselves and they correct to a more normal level, and then they establish a bottom, and then they move on.
Yes.
That's what I've seen in the last 50 years.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay.
You're talking
So,
about that.
guys, I think we went a bit off topic.
Oh, okay.
And,
Yeah, I didn't mean to take you off topic. I'm going to get out of here and go back to walking. I'm just taking my daily walk.
Okay.
Good seeing you guys.
Thanks for
All
joining.
right. Take care. All right. Thanks.
So
So,
we were talking about, let me just fill Zach in real quick, Lazo. We were talking about the news for cybersecurity
this week,
and Lazo is our resident expert. And it just kind of veered off to TMZ's attack and then the whole dark web and Bitcoin. But now we're back on track. So yeah. Okay. Next news. Thanks, Lazo, for that.
Next news is an emergency Java patch for Windows. If you use Mac or Android, or I don't know who uses Java on Android, but it exists, and I was looking strange when I saw it, but it exists. Anyway, on Windows, if you are on Windows and if you have Java, update it now. It's the time, because there are probably like 6 or 7 vulnerabilities wrapped into one update. And it will fix lots of issues from, for example, total compromise, which means all your data can be hijacked, or your PC can be remotely controlled and everything. So it's just a quick news drop in. I know Java is very strange and very bad when it's popping up that you should update and update and update. You should actually update now.
Okay, so it says for once, people with an existing clean install of Java, that is an install that hasn't been compromised by anything else, that you don't have to worry. You're good. So,
well, yeah, but how do you know if you haven't been compromised? So it's
just update it.
The best ways to update.
Okay, next news.
Cisco firewalls. Cisco ASA is again an enterprise thing. If you are a normal user, you probably don't use this. If you are a normal user who cares about cybersecurity, I, for example, have a Cisco firewall at home, which may sound strange, but yeah, I'm protecting myself at home too. And I needed to update it because I was infected by this vulnerability. So if you have one of these, probably from like a million. Cisco say it ain't so. Monty, what?
Cisco says it ain't so.
Well, this isn't pretty clear for me.
The part of it that is most pressing is that Cisco claims that there are over 1 million of these deployed.
Yeah. And I wasn't very happy when I found out that I was one of those 1 million. Anyway.
Okay. Well, if you have a Cisco firewall.
Okay. I'm not sure what Monty is talking about, but I'm jumping to the next news. Maybe if you can call him Monty, then do so, and I think it will be clear then.
Okay.
The next news is that IRS, which is, I haven't used it and I didn't even know it existed. It's a kind of taxpayer thing online for America. Maybe you know it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so this thing was exploited, and 100,000 taxpayers' PIN was stolen.
So, okay. What that means is that this isn't an ideal time for tax refund fraudsters to get busy. Filing a fraudulent return in your name, understating your income in order to claim a refund, and then scooping up the refund by having the funds diverted to your account and into theirs.
So, yeah.
Just go file it manually, or
And this is something. This is especially the attack and exploit that you can't ever defend yourself from, because it's a government site. You of course trust the government side, because why wouldn't you? I would trust, and you must trust it because it's a law to trust it. And when people make it a law for you to trust the website, it's always kind of strange.
So Monty says identity thieves breached IRS computer systems, says agency. Yeah, it makes sense. So I said here, it says, granted, the crooks need existing database of personal information to initiate their attacks, such as social security numbers and names, but it seems as though they had acquired a handy list from an earlier data breach somewhere else. And it makes sense if you look at all the federal notices of your information being breached. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are your options? Just do it manually like everybody else, but I'm not even sure how that's possible at this point.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, next up is that FBI requested $38 million, $38 million, I repeat it again, to go dark and like break encryption, which is needed to secure yourself. Hey, Monty.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
I'm pretty good. You?
So far, so good.
Cool.
Okay, so let's see. FBI Director James Comey has highlighted in different occasions the difficulties faced by law enforcement when dealing with encryption during their investigations.
Yes. So basically, they want to hack into crypto, and everyone tries to hack into crypto nowadays. Well, not everyone can.
Can do it, can pull it off, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have many very, very talented people, but I'm not sure they will ever break crypto, because that's something you can't just randomly break and be cool with it. It's engineered to be secure against breaks and people who try to break it. And it was created, all of the encryptions were created by like thousands of mathematicians working together, gathering information, talking to each other, brainstorming and everything. So 1,000 wise people can just randomly crack it.
So listen to this. He says, FBI Director James Comey on Wednesday called for tech companies currently offering end-to-end encryption to reconsider their business model and instead adopt encryption techniques that allow them to intercept and turn over communications to law enforcement when necessary. Are they kidding? Are they joking?
No, this isn't a joke. This is America.
That's ridiculous. Okay, that's ridiculous.
On the other hand, good news is I can't link it. I lost the link. That India said that each new startup should be completely open source.
Really, that's crazy.
Something, yes, and there are like thousands of startups coming up weekly there. So this is also good because it will be much more secure, and you will actually trust an Indian startup more than an American one in like, I don't know, a year. And
that's interesting.
It's an interesting.
What is the Indian version of Silicon Valley?
I don't know.
Oh, let's check real quick. But I think that specific article is ridiculous.
I think Mumbai is like the most startup-y city, but I'm really not sure.
I think it really goes back to defining the startup. Like starting a business and having it being expansive in India isn't the same in my mindset of a startup in the U.S. because
Of
the startups
course.
in the U.S. go public. Like unless there's a public market, and I'm sure there probably is in India, it's not the same as a startup in the U.S. because you can say, "Hey, I'm a startup, and now I become publicly traded." That is.
Yeah, but
Well,
actually they are pretty much getting tons of money from the government directly, investments from
Yeah, but that
day
makes it like
one.
China. I mean,
Yeah,
and not that that's bad. Well, yeah, it is bad. Forget that. It's totally bad because essentially the government then owns the company, and even though you started it, it becomes very socialist as an approach. But that's a
I'm
whole
not
political
sure
thing.
this is a bad thing. I mean, just think about it. Many startups or many, yeah, many startups, current startups or like companies who were startups could have grown much bigger and much faster if they had a solid base of income from some solid source like a government. So it can be, of course, a bad thing, but a very good thing too. You
that's
can
why I
pay,
want to
for
be
example,
careful not to.
security experts.
Sorry. This was like a trending topic because of Anderson's comment and Facebook and that whole thing over the past week. Did you hear about that?
Nope.
What was the conference?
Serious? Okay, you guys didn't hear about it. Mark,
Andreessen?
yeah, had this whole tirade about Indian startups and on the internet, and so you didn't hear about that.
I really missed news this week. I was really just checking into cybersecurity news and only because of the podcast.
Okay, so India, Bangalore is considered the Silicon Valley of India. India is considered the Asia capital, I guess. Asia's Silicon Valley.
Yeah, there are
India
many startups.
India is considered Asia's Silicon Valley.
According to, let me just, Tech in Asia.
I think that's just it's okay.
But it's actually legit. I mean, I thought the same. Like, how many public startups that you know right now came from China? Maybe Alibaba and stuff
Right.
like that. But you know, dozens of Indians. Maybe not that much, but actually I know some. Specifically in programming, I could say like 6 or 7 randomly right now that are from India and came to the US and came to Europe from India, and they could only do it because government supported them from
From the start.
day zero. Yeah.
I think that's very interesting, but I still go back to like, and the funny part is there are base startups here also. And I think it's very interesting because the government-based startups here are usually in some sort of Planeteer X kind of platform. And, you know, it's really like, okay, we want to manage big data in such a way that doesn't make it so apparent that we can have that guy, whatever his name was, that sold everybody out and said, hey, the government has this one box that's getting all the information. Now they're using Planeteer and those kinds of companies to do that same thing, but more on a myopic level, but still on a grand scale.
Yeah, in India it's not like this. I mean, Indian government supports security, supports encryption, wants companies to go open source, to open source their cryptography so people can correct it, people can find security vulnerabilities much easier, and to, support everyone and to not get breached, because in America there are huge problems with this. Anyway,
it makes sense. It's sort of startup friendly, more
India
so
is?
than China.
So my biggest thought,
Mhm.
and again, this is going to be geopolitical more so than anything. There is still a caste system in India, and because there's a caste system in India, the concept of the startup idea, not to say it actually happens this way, is that anyone can come together in their garage and actually make a startup. Whereas the overall concept in India is that's not the case, correct? Or is that shifting also?
there are millions of
everywhere.
programmers who can just build their own tool and, connect with each other and build stuff. There are genius programmers in India. Just most of them are very bad programmers because they don't have any education in like deeper education in the topic, just read forums and stuff like that. And that's the general assumption when you talk to an Indian programmer, that he is from that part. But I have friends who are genius programmers, and actually look at Google co-founder. I don't know his name right now, which
Sergey?
is yeah.
Or-
For example, just as an example, he's a perfect mathematician and programmer. So yeah, there are many geniuses. Just from the large amounts of population, the majority didn't get the university or like college education that they needed to get. Anyway, next
Okay.
news.
We were about to get
So this is
off
again
track
US bad news. New York police officer, and I think other police officers too. They just didn't say it publicly. That New York police police department used a phone hacking tool 1,000 times without even noticing anyone about it.
Wow.
The specific tool is called
York-
Stingray, and
That
yeah,
sounds
they were-
totally person of interest, like the TV show, completely.
yeah.
I think now that we're talking more about it, it's becoming an actual reality. So, the New York Police Department has admitted that it used controversial cell phone spying tool Stingrays more than 1,000 times since 2008 without
Yeah, that's not
warrant.
surprising.
And I'm not sure others didn't. I mean, this is just New York. I'm pretty sure each other police department used it too.
Especially in the urban metropolitan cities where they might be a techno advantage.
So Stingrays are small cell phone surveillance devices that work by imitating cell phone towers, forcing all nearby phones to connect to them and revealing the owner's locations. These devices are small enough to be mounted on a plane.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very forced pairing, which I think is interesting. Like and again, it's very much one of those things you see, and you're like, nah, people can't do that, but yeah, it's actually happening. It's live.
Yeah. Next up.
Okay.
Actually,
Laszlo, I want good security. You have to be like, too bad, one good.
there aren't
Too
many
bad, one good.
rules.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Well, with cybersecurity, what is the good part? Like when someone hacks into someone who tried to hack them, or
Tell us an anonymous story.
well,
He's like, how many exist? Okay. Moving
today
on.
I was actually just running an experiment. It's a personal story, and I haven't told anyone this before because it happened today. I was coming home with a train, and trains here have public Wi-Fi, which is named the same all the time. Now I named my mobile phone the same as the public Wi-Fi on these things, and about 32 people connected to my mobile internet, and they didn't even think that it's someone else's thing.
Wow.
I just named it the same, and there were two, and they were picking mine because it had a better signal.
Wow.
So
That's incredible.
yeah. So
That's a win. Good entertaining
So-
news.
actually, don't
I'm
connect to any public Wi-Fi. If you can avoid it, avoid it. If it's something that can save your life, then do it. But
Yeah. So when you say public,
No,
you mean public free Wi-Fi, or public meaning like any business's
Wi-
Wi-Fi?
by public, I mean you can connect you should only connect to Wi-Fi's where you know each person who connects to that Wi-Fi, and you trust each of them. If you know that Joe and Jack and everyone on the Wi-Fi is a good person and they won't hack you, then it's perfectly fine. It's totally okay. Just connect. If it's a public and you know other people are randomly joining in or stuff like that, you don't know people who came and join in, it's a huge problem.
Okay, recap really quick.
Which one?
So
Everything.
okay, so everything in where Wi-Fi.
So real quick,
Wi-Fi.
I was just sitting on a train going to home, and I turned on my Wi-Fi hotspot sharing functionality of my phone, and I named it the same way that a public Wi-Fi was named on the train, because trains here have public Wi-Fi, and I named it the same, exactly the same. And because of the stronger signal, because I was closer to the people, 32 people connected to my mobile phone.
It's such a funny test because it's like you could do that anywhere, and
Yeah.
you could be in the library or any
I
place.
just
That
randomly
always,
tried
yeah,
it for
it's an
fun.
interesting test.
It didn't mean to do anything. I didn't even have the equipment. It's just, you know, anyone could do that who has the equipment right there and can breach you. So, yep.
Wow.
And the thing about it is, if someone is in that presence and they happen to have something very valuable on their system and they've hit that public Wi-Fi, you now have access to their exceptionally valuable information.
Yes, because if you are on the same network, everything that goes through the network, either encrypted or unencrypted, can be gathered, and you can totally just listen to it, and with a listening tool, which is actually available to all platforms, and it's as simple as running a program and just looking at it. And of course, you will get lots of encrypted data from HTTPS sites. That's why it is so important, because from HTTP, everything goes like plain text, no encryption, no security, nothing. With HTTPS, at least it encrypts stuff, but you know, it can be broken if you really try to with some tools.
This is really, I think it's like the detail is the consideration, because most people don't think if I just need to access Wi-Fi really quickly, and I don't walk around with my own sort of portable hub, you know, it's safe, it's okay,
Well,
you know. So it's
yeah, there is no real way to identify if a Wi-Fi is legit or not. You can actually by monitoring the Wi-Fi for a bit, but who the hell will monitor Wi-Fi? Like maybe me, but I'm not that paranoid yet to immediately start to monitor Wi-Fi when I'm connecting to it. So, and in
that's a cool test, though. It's
Yeah.
a really cool test.
Next up, what's the real cost of a security breach? People pretty much gathered information from thousands of breaches, and they were looking at small startups to big companies about how much did they pay afterwards and how much did it cost. And the average was almost $1 million, which was the cost of like securing and recovering and everything after a security breach. And just as to you know just as an examination, security tester or researcher team who checks on your system for like every 6 months or every year can be fine. Well, they cost around $50,000 at max if you have a very, very complex system. So it's almost always worth hiring a security team.
Absolutely, and I think it says this is one of the major topics that we've been contemplating. There is a Monty, if he was here, he would say it as well. There is this lack of, or sort of indifference when it comes to managing your systems, solving for apathy and indifference, and how those vulnerabilities, whether it's within your system, whether it's how people access your system, how your employees use it or interact with it, there's a problem with companies understanding how that impacts their bottom line, what it actually costs them. So this is a great measure.
Actually, even a plan which costs nothing because you just think about it and write it down. Even a plan about what happens if my data gets stolen, if this information gets breached. Even like a document with 2 or 3 pages can save you a lot, because in panic situation, when your company is getting breached and you are there and you are living it right there, you won't have time to like think it through clearly. And by thinking it through before, I don't say that's the best way to do it, but if you just can't spare time to, or just don't have the money to hire a security team, then just think it through and have a backup plan about what would you do.
So this is a good, I'll just ask you now. Maybe you can put together a sort of like a really quick, what you would do to plan for a security breach for your company. I think that would be like a quick sort of, I guess you would say, pathway or outline of how they should respond. I think it's like that emergency plan everyone should have. I mean,
so first I wouldn't stop everything, because attackers already have everything, and assume they have everything. So first off, I would try to chaining them into a trap, which can gather their private information, or at least make some log entries, so I know more about them and how they work and what was their purpose with the hack. Every and each hack has a purpose. They want something. Maybe they just want data. Maybe they want something personal from you. Maybe they just want the credit card of an employee because they want to troll him. It's a very bad excuse, but actually it can happen. So I always, as an attacker, when I'm hacking and when I'm hired to hack, I always think through how was this system constructed? What could the security administrator could do wrong, or what could he miss? Like, there are millions of things that he could miss, but not all of them apply to a system. So I'm trying to think through how he thinks. Now you need to reverse do this and think how the attacker thinks it. And how they are thinking and how they are moving forward. So this is something. So if you understood what they want to get, you can exactly like shut down that. And that point, for example, if they want sensitive data, you can actually give them fake sensitive data and see if they go away with it or something like that. You need to have some backup plans, like a whole XLS file with fake data about people, and they will upload it because they are hackers and they think they found something, and they actually didn't. So
when you would be, let them say around so you can identify the purpose of the hack. So what is it called?
Yeah, after this happened and you know what they were coming for, then shut down every single device in the network. You need to even shut down employees' devices and bring in like new devices, or just try to get someone's device, like your friend's Linux or something, and just bring it in and try to examine if they infected each and every PC. This is actually why it costs this much. I mean, $1 million, because you need to go through each PC, you need to go through each device, you need to go through each server, and it's a huge work. So this would be my backup plan. This is what I was doing personally.
So 4 steps: identify the purpose of the hack. So think how the hacker thinks, and so strategically, like chess, 2 steps ahead. And then once you identify what that is, give them a fake version of what they're seeking, and shut everything down
And
assess every. Okay, cool. That's a really quick and helpful plan.
Yeah, so this is what I would do personally, but you don't need to do this. There are many ways to approach a situation like this. If you try to approach it on hack and not like before hack, you are already out of control, and your system is out of control, and you are done. So this is something you shouldn't do. If you try to approach it before and just think about it, it's not that big. It doesn't cost that much to think about it, and I hope you have time to think about stuff like this to keep your startup alive. You can defend yourself effectively.
And so the purpose is to always be at least 2 steps proactive, like at least 2 steps ahead. So don't solve for the existing hack, solve
and always hire a security team, like each year at least. Anyway, up next. Well, Android business apps are, well, leaking out all personal information. I mean, 300% more business apps leak out information than non-business apps, which is,
oh wow,
interesting statistics right there.
300% better at it than non-business apps. So here's the quick headline. An analysis of more than 400,000 apps available from the Google Play Store discovered that a quarter of all apps have at least one high-risk security flaw, with 11% leaking sensitive data over the network and 13% displaying file system issues. Wow,
so Android,
interesting.
this is why I don't really use Android, and why.
Hey, Android. Okay.
Anyway,
next. As long as it's not Apple.
This is not an actual news. I'm just referring back to our last conversation. If an incident happens, this is a good read about how to avoid miscommunication and big problems. So for those who have a startup or who have a friend who has a startup, link this to them. It's an interesting resource, and I was reading it like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, and I found it right now. It's something you need to know to be able to be effective. Yeah.
Right. So the headline is, it's by darkreading.com, 5 big incident response mistakes. And on leanmobileapps.com, we'll also post your action plan, your example of the plan or emergency plan for. Perfect.
So, yeah, it was actually coming into team. Monty, what are you doing?
That's funny. So are we good with the news, Laszlo?
Or sorry, what?
I was saying, are we good with the news, or do we have any more?
I will try to be real quick. This one is a short read about why AT&T does not at all care about your privacy, and it's pathetic. I mean, yeah.
Okay, he does not care about your privacy. I don't think it's a Silicon Valley decision to make about whether encryption is the right
Yeah,
thing
so
to
everyone
do.
is like trying to attack encryption.
Interesting. So if you're interested, here's a little headline. My guess is that AT&T is so deep in bed with the NSA and FBI that he's just saying things he believes justifies
Yeah.
his position. Buddy, falls in line with the earlier conversation about the end-to-end encryption.
Well, yeah,
Don't you think?
pretty much.
Okay.
So
Next
next
news.
is a guy could hack FBI. Pretty much. And this happened before because FBI executives and CIA executives accounts were hacked like last year and this year, very early this year, and people were freaking out because this happened, and everyone was like, what, CIA was hacked and FBI was hacked, and yeah, they can get hacked, and it was pretty easy to hack them. It was just social engineering, getting into one account from the 70,000, and then all of them were leaked online. This week the guy who did it was busted in Scotland, I think. He was on the run. Ouch, that phone. And yeah, FBI is getting hacked, and I'm actually not that sorry for them after what they have done.
You don't feel bad about it. Okay. We're moving on. I don't want to talk so much about the... Okay, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah,
do...
we can't say it too loud.
Yeah, we're gonna do hand gestures, okay? So...
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So next up is how easy it is to get into a bank's system, and actually how easy it is to get into any company's system. And when I'm security testing, and it's a special case when companies actually ask me to physically security test. Physically means I'm going there, I'm trying to get into, and I'm trying to hack their Wi-Fi, for example, and stuff like that. It does not seem that important because who will come near that company? But actually people are coming and they are hacking. And for example, in banks sites, the guy first could totally just go into a door and get into. This is why I actually advise companies to use slide doors with biometric sensors, because people can just open and close it. People are trying to be polite with their workmates. Like this is how psychology works. People will hold the door open for you if they see that you are in the same outfit, or you look like someone who should be there, because you should be an employee, and they won't just close it to you. And if you are really an employee, then they are assholes, and they will think it. So yeah, this is how psychology works, and it's a powerful tool. So you shouldn't mess around with psychology. You shouldn't trust your employees this way, because they will be polite. This is a human thing, that you are polite. The thing you should do if you are a company and just now building your office is that you should actually do card authentication or biometric authentication or anything, and have a sliding door that does not open, that can be opened by humans. It can be opened by cards, by electrical machines. Of course, this is another thing, that what if there are two problems with this? What if it goes wrong? What if it has some problems? Or what if someone hacks into it? These two problems are still there, but these are much harder to do than this social engineering thing.
It makes sense because human. So you're right now you're protecting against human error, which is in most cases one of the major vulnerabilities. Even in the military, we had private areas that we couldn't, that had to be secured constantly, whether it was cat cards or entrances to secure areas. And you want to make sure that, I mean, there are instances when you see people in uniform, literally in uniform, and you think, oh, they belong here. But the reality is, because you're sort of trained to identify that social engineering and social situation where you're the same, it makes it easy to just say, okay, come in. Or if someone mentions the name of someone that works there, come in. So you're solving for social problems, which is the niceties, right, of being in the same place. Makes a lot of sense.
The next one is actually pretty bad news again. British cyber intelligence is allowed to hack anyone by law. Legally, totally legally.
Okay, hacking of computers, smartphones, and networks in the United Kingdom or abroad by the government communications headquarters is legal.
Yes, and they already installed malware. They remotely turned on cameras and microphone. They installed a keylogger or more. They tracked suspects' location via GPS, remotely stole documents from target devices, and so much more.
So they're saying it's legal to not just do it in the UK, but to do it everywhere else.
Yeah, it is.
That's cool. Okay. Okay. Next news.
Cool in another sense. Well, right now I will link darknet site, but it's totally secure, and it's a news site for the darknet.
Totally secure darknet. That's a little different.
Yeah, it's a news site, and I know the creator who is like doing this whole thing, and he won't plant malware on the site.
So let me ask this. This is sort of a validation point. What makes a site darknet?
Well, it's accessible by Tor, and you can access only by Tor normally. But there are services like Onion.link and Onion.to that serve as a proxy, to say that, so you can access darknet content from your local or normal internet. But the problem is that your information isn't encrypted at all. So right now, if you browse, for example, this is just a news site. No one will ever care about you browsing a news site. But if you browse like a drug trafficking site, then you might have problems. Pretty sure to have problems. So yeah, back to the news. NSA switched to quantum-resistant cryptography, and I believe it's because China is working pretty hard to get a quantum computer up and running, and to like crack every crypto, because it's just a matter of minutes to crack a password, which is now takes like millions of years to crack. It's just minutes for a quantum computer, and NSA does things against it. And probably we should do like soonish, not right now, but very soon.
You said quantum computer?
Quantum computer, yeah. So this was
AES-256 and SHA-384 algorithms are symmetric and believed to be safe from attack by a large quantum computer.
Yes, exactly. This may sound alien or something like that, but yeah. Monty, while you are here, I need to link you again this one. I'm very interested in your comments on this, because I think we were already talking about something like this before.
Okay.
So basically the news says from many news sources, the real cost of a security breach is close to $1 million. It's from small to big organizations and examining security breaches from the past.
That's massive. I actually need that this week too. So
I think we were talking about.
right. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
Yeah, and compared to the fact that hiring PCAS security team for a very complex site is like $20,000, it's nonsense. So yeah, this is now
It's opportunity cost.
people by now could say it's around it can cost much more to build up the company again from zero, from scratch.
You know what, Lazo? We weren't recording this whole time.
We were recording. It
We
says
No.
says for me it says we are recording.
Well, let's see. We'll see. We're gonna see.
I can pause it. Do you want me to pause it?
Yeah. Okay, so really quick recap. Lazo, we're recording.
Yeah.
So we have watch the show notes, look at the news for this week, and Lazo's, in case you missed our labs, our weekly CyberSec lab, Lazo will be back next week, right? Monday?
Yes, this time. Again, next week.
Perfect. So we'll do a summary and we'll post it on Lean mobile apps, and hopefully everyone will be secure this coming week, thanks to your news.
You are welcome. And I was happy to be here. Bye-bye.
Bye. Appreciate you.
it's interesting how my Wi-Fi goes in and out because for a
To reach us with questions and more resources, go to leanmobileapps.com/speakpipe.